While RJon was away, Team RJon came to play. Well, the cat's out of the bag now, folks, but we're still here bringing you our favorite and most importantly, actionable insights to RJon's newest book, Profit First for Lawyers. We're going to help you accelerate your law firm's growth so that you can experience more profit in every aspect of your life. We're also going to be providing some behind-the-scenes footage at what it's really like to work with RJon Robbins. So, put your BS aside for the next few minutes and put yourself, your family, your firm, and your profit first. Welcome back to another episode of the Profit First for Lawyers podcast. If you notice my eyes are a little bit red-rimmed today, mind your business. This is officially the last episode of this season, and I can hardly believe that it's actually here. We had such an amazing time, and I hope it was as impactful for you. If you've been listening since the beginning, thank you for sticking with us. And hey, if you're just now finding us, we have a whole archive of content for you, so strap in and get ready for a wild ride. We've got a few things on the docket today. So first, we're going to give you the TLDR on the entire season, recapping some of our favorite standout moments. And then we'll be asking the members of Team RJon who started this podcast initially for their favorite moments and lessons. And lastly, don't change that channel because we are bringing you an honest-to-goodness, old-school blooper reel. That's right, we got the bloopers. So let's get started. Season 1 began with RJon leaving the country. So RJon and I had spent the early part of the year getting his book, Profit First for Lawyers, ready to be published. And as a part of that, we booked time at a studio and RJon narrated his own book while I sat in a corner and yelled at him to do it better. I didn't really say that. It was a really fun time in my life, though, and the content that came from that studio recording week was so good that the rest of the members of Team RJon at that time, which is the team that directly supports RJon Robbins' goals, dreams, and current crazy ideas, we all got together, we brainstormed ways to sell the book while RJon was gone in Paris, and to showcase some of the clips from the studio that just wouldn't make it into the eventual audiobook version. And it was unanimous. We started a podcast. Per DeLisi, our chief of staff, we decided to do it without RJon even knowing, right? Better to ask forgiveness than permission. And so I was nominated to host said podcast since I was the most familiar with the recordings. And all of Team RJon, Tammy, Zoe, Raul, DeLisi, Denise, we all pitched in to make it happen. When we got started, we didn't even have our official equipment yet. I was actually recording with my cell phone, a ring light, an admittedly very fancy microphone, a very spotty internet connection, sorry again, production team, and a positive attitude. Here for your viewing pleasure is the very first thing we created, put together by our amazing production team and the ever-fabulous and inventive Raul, our podcast trailer. Now, before we play this, I want to ask you to pay attention to the promises we made for this season. Let's roll that clip. RJon Robbins is a serial entrepreneur who has grown several multi-million-dollar businesses. He has also changed the lives of countless small law firm owners and entrepreneurs by empowering them and liberating them from the doctrine of sacrifice. He is also the author of Profit First for Lawyers, which will be coming soon to a bookstore near you. What RJon isn't is aware that we're launching this podcast. While RJon is away, Team RJon's going to play. And that's why we're launching the Profit First for Lawyers podcast. In each episode, we're going to be sharing some practical, entertaining, and most importantly, actionable content so that you can have more success in your business, so that you can have more profit in your business, and most importantly, so that your business can be more fun to run. Along the way, we're going to be giving you some behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like to work with RJon Robbins. We've been asking RJon some questions while he's been away in Paris, and he's been sending us some answers. So if you have a burning question, please email us at podcast@profitfirstforlawyers.com. That's 4FOR. And we will send those questions to RJon without him ever even knowing what they're for. And if that seems a little odd to you, that RJon would answer a question without knowing what it's about or why we're asking, trust me. RJon is a born coach. We do it all the time. So go ahead and subscribe to the Profit First for Lawyers podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or really anywhere with your favorite podcast play. Join us in our stealth launch, and I'll see you there. In that trailer, we promised to bring you some practical, entertaining, and actionable content this whole season. Did we succeed? I'd honestly love to hear from you. So if you have been playing all in, please send us an email at podcast@profitfirstforlawyers.com and let me know how life looks for you now compared to when you first found us. We had an absolute blast putting each early episode together. And when RJon would call us from Paris, we had an even greater time making puns about it that he didn't catch. It was a really fun inside joke with the team, especially when we would ask RJon to answer our questions while he was in Paris. And he'd send them back to us so we could post them on social media. So he visited some really cool locations. And honestly, he went above and beyond in those answers. Not only did he send us some videos, he also recorded them in some pretty unusual locations. We didn't get a chance to play all of those this season, so I'm going to play one for you now. Here is a never-before-seen clip from a hot chocolate shop in the middle of Paris, and an explanation from RJon on why this chocolate shop can give you inspiration that will lead you to greater profits in your law firm. Here's RJon.
Why do some law firms do okay and other law firms do so much better in the same practice area, in the same city, in the same economic environment? And the answer is because some law firm owners are real entrepreneurs and understand that a big part of what we're selling and a big part of what clients want to pay for, they want to pay for a better experience. It's not just about what gets done in the factory. It's not just about the end result. It's not just about, well, I won your case or I got your document done. It's about thoughtfully engineering a great experience. So we're standing here in front of Valrhona. Thank you. Let me just say, you thought you had tasted hot chocolate before. You haven't tasted hot chocolate before. You're about to see what tasting hot chocolate is like. And we've invented smell-o-vision. You're literally going to be able to smell it. You're going to be able to taste it. You're going to be able to experience it because they've engineered the experience. So, Allie, you ready to go in?
Yep.
Oh, get ready. I'll narrate you through it. All right, so first thing you do is look at this. It's just chocolate. Nothing but chocolate. That's Jeremy, who's going to be helping us with this experience. All right. So first thing you do is you go here and you sample the chocolates from all around the world. And as you're sampling the chocolates from all around the world, Jeremy narrates how they do business, their business practices, their ethics, their values, their philosophy. It talks about how they have these long-term relationships with the plantations that grow the chocolate beans in all these different countries. And you taste the different chocolates from all the different countries, and you taste the different chocolates from all the different, and then, of course, you can't resist buying a ton of stuff because now you are enrolled in the values and the philosophies, and you're enrolled in the whole point of view and the whole experience. And you start to give a shit about the farmers who are growing the coffee beans and roasting the coffee beans. And then they export the coffee beans to France where they're roasted and turned into this fantastic product. Chocolate beans. Did I say coffee beans?
Yes.
I meant chocolate beans. They know what I'm talking about. And then you come and Jeremy puts on this spectacular show. I've already selected the chocolate that I want, and I've already selected the milk that I want from the milk selection. And where is this coffee coming, the chocolate coming from?
The one you selected from Ghana.
From Ghana. Just watch this.
Chocolate.
Milk.
And because you take the mochaccino, some cold brew, so infused coffee.
little bit of coffee mixed in with my hot chocolate, the way I like it. Since I keep subconsciously saying coffee.
And then yes,
And what is this?
it's steam water.
Steamed water? And tell us more about the, we were talking about how even during COVID, you kept the contracts.
Yeah, because so we are the company is Vigo. I don't know if you know Vigo. So we make an exception to work well with the producer and inside the company to recycle, to pay the people right. That
Ethical business
yeah,
practices.
exactly. Because like that, it's a win-win situation.
And ethical business practices, it actually makes the experience of drinking the hot chocolate better because you feel like you're making a contribution to the lives of these farmers.
Yeah, it's not just for the cocoa. We work with some for the last 30 years.
Look at this. Look at this. Oh, it's so good.
Anyway.
Thank you so much. Now you know that the coffee beans were roasted ethically, were grown ethically contracted. I'm making a mess in your store. I'm sorry.
She's eating.
Ty just left. They had to clean up the whole store. It's so good. Think about where you can add experience and curate an experience for your clients. It'll make a huge difference in your business, and it doesn't really cost anything. It's a huge opportunity to give yourself a gigantic competitive advantage and earn premium fees because this stuff isn't cheap.
Though Team RJon had a blast running this podcast right under RJon's nose, eventually, we knew we wouldn't have the Atlantic Ocean separating us, and we'd either have to come clean, or else he was just going to find out on his own. So, we conspired to hijack his stage time at the July 2023 LQM, which stands for our live quarterly meetings, and reveal it to him there. Now, we did an entire episode about this, and that was really, really fun. It was our first interview with creative design extraordinaire, Raul. You can go back to episode 8, Killing Your Ego, to watch that. And of course, we got it linked below. But here's a snippet from when RJon found out he had a podcast. You'll hear Delisi in this video explaining it to him. And spoiler alert, he didn't fire us. All right, let's roll the clip.
So
Surprise!
So
You left to Paris.
I'm like going around Paris, like shooting videos. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing there?
We
Just
needed
shoot the
someone
video,
to
just-
say, I have ideas.
So you guys actually created a podcast?
Oh, yeah, it's so out there.
Like with what?
With your team. You
I
were in
mean,
Paris.
what's in the podcast? What is in the podcast? What is the podcast about?
So we use...
I guess I'm gonna have to sign up to find out what my
You
podcast.
all go to that QR code to subscribe to the podcast to find out. But we use behind-the-scenes
Hold on,
footage.
I'm going to.
You should. We have interviews with other members of Team RJon who are talking about what it's really like to work with you. We talk about some of our favorite lessons from the book that resonated with all of us. We use video and content of you that you did not approve, and hopefully I'm not fired. But I think it was done reasonably well.
Subscribe to automatically receive the latest episode. Holy shit! How many episodes are there?
There's 5. We're launching another one on Monday.
So this gives me the idea we should do a workshop entitled "How to Get a Podcast Without Even Knowing It." Okay.
That sounds like
well,
how to train a superstar staff.
Yeah, exactly. No shit. Well, I guess I don't really know what to say since I haven't seen the podcast. Is it video? Is it audio? Is it?
Oh, it's all of that.
So I go to Paris for 6 weeks, or 5. I go to Paris for 5 weeks. Did you guys know you were doing this before I left?
No, it's just that you left, and we're used to every week when you're like, guys, I have this idea. Guys, I have this idea. Guys, I have this idea. And we missed it. So we're like, okay, well, he's gone. We have a book to launch. What else should we be doing? He's gone. He's gone. Okay, let's just do it. And we just did it. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I guess I'm a little speechless. That's pretty awesome.
RJon has since then listened to every episode of the podcast, and we're still not fired. No, but he has really taken his time to coach me up and to help us share some of the most actionable of insights. Even better, the podcast worked to help us get the word out about RJon's book. On launch day, we ended up selling right around 25,000 copies. And Delisi hopped on a Zoom call to let all of Team RJon know about the big bonus we were all getting for knocking our goals out of the park. You can watch the full reveal on episode 10, and I'm not going to play it today because instead, we have kind of a blooper-ish clip of the event through the eyes of our newest member of Team RJon at the time. Now, this particular clip is not audio-friendly, so instead of putting it in this episode, we've got that clip linked in our show notes. And let me tell you, Raul edited this bad boy, and I laughed so hard I cried when I saw it. 3 times after I saw it. So take a look. And don't forget to send your petitions to givelena.abonus.org. Since then, we've seen the podcast's reach continue to expand from Germany and Australia to Zimbabwe, Belgium, the UK, and of course our friendly Canadians. We've seen our show reach places we never expected. And we've shipped books to countries we never foresaw. If you're one of our international listeners and readers, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for giving these concepts a chance and for sticking with us. The goal of this show has always been to mirror RJon's own personal purpose, which is to liberate more law firm owners from the doctrine of sacrifice and inspire them to pursue more happiness in their lives. In pursuing that goal, I've been able to sit down with some amazing minds, and I personally have learned so much and have put many of these concepts to use in my own life. From interviewing members of Team RJon to sitting down with RJon's own tax strategist, accountant, the CEO of How to Manage, and the co-founder of How to Manage. We also sat down with the co-founders of Profit First Professionals, Ron Saharian and Mike Michalowicz. This season has been chock full of life-changing concepts, insights, and actionable blueprints and advice. We've received feedback from several listeners who've said that the way they approach their businesses has changed since we first started. One listener even mentioned that she'd never really had systems or processes or procedures in place, and that listening to the 7 main parts of a law firm really made her think differently and write things down, and now her staff has really clearly laid out processes and procedures that are making the running of the day-to-day business much smoother. We had another listener who wrote in to say that Allie's episode about getting yourself off of the ground level into the sky was really impactful. And they realized that they needed to stop looking over the shoulders of their employees and let them run and let them succeed and fail on their own so they could get a more strategic viewpoint of their business. Even I find myself parroting back, "Just 5 seconds of courage, Karli." Or, "Is this the highest and best use of my time?" Call, I say that all the time. Or, "Just do it anyway." And during the course of this season, I have seen my own life begin to flourish in ways that I never expected. I have bigger goals now. I have wilder dreams. I've booked a once-in-a-lifetime vacation and given myself permission to pursue my passions again. I find myself almost every day waking up with a bounce in my step asking, what's one thing I can do today to move me just a little bit closer to where I want to be? And I've got a long way to go, but man, I feel so much better about life in general. And on a more humorous note, we've heard from listeners who've said some of their favorite moments were when we had our Tea Time with Karli segment. So in honor of them, let's bring it back one last time this season. Do I hear a kettle? It's time for a spot of tea. During the week I spent with RJon while he recorded the audio for the audiobook, which is coming soon, very soon, by the way, we spent a lot of time sitting at his kitchen table discussing not only the audiobook and the manuscript, but also various wild marketing ideas and goals and brainstorming inventive new ways to get the word out. It was an exhausting and really illuminating and fun week. And I still have pages and pages of notes. And one of the things that consistently made me laugh throughout that week is RJon has an 8-year-old son who is honestly one of the coolest kids I've ever met. And my favorite things that happened around RJon's kitchen table were actually when Taye would come and pass RJon notes while I was talking, and RJon would unravel them and give me Taye's feedback on what I was saying. Things like, "You're making excuses," or "She's avoiding the question," or "You should just say what you mean." And the funniest part was that 100% of the time he was absolutely right. I'm just gonna say, watch out, world, for when Taye starts his own enterprise. And that concludes our tea time for this season. Okay, now let's turn the spotlight on my co-conspirators and the people that I'm privileged to get to work with every day. Here are the 5 members of Team RJon that started this podcast with me. Remember when I asked you to pay attention to the things we promised you in our trailer? Well, take it away, team.
Hi, I'm Zoe from Team RJon, and I want to thank you for tuning in this season. This season, I learned that there are so many lessons from Profit First for Lawyers that are applicable to my life, even though I'm not a lawyer.
I'm Raul Longoria from Team RJon, and this season I learned that no matter who you are, everyone has something to offer the world, whether that's an opinion, a story, or just a different perspective. Everyone, including you and I, has something to give.
My name is Delisi Friday from Team RJon, and this season, I think I learned the most from Allie's episode about mindset and how important mindset is. I need to be high level and I cannot be ground level if I want to soar. And for me, that episode really hit home.
Hi, my name is Tammy Cumpston, and I am with Team RJon. This season on the podcast, I've learned a couple of different things, but 2 that really stand out to me are the fact that nothing will ever go as planned, and you have to be open to pivoting and making changes and figuring out what is going to get you to the next step. And the other thing that I learned is that you need to really understand what motivates your team. What is going to get them to be successful in what they do? And that was evident when Karli got her bidet.
Hi, I'm Denise Dunekeen, and this season I learned that there's power in telling your story because you never know how it will impact someone.
We promised no hedge words, that if you listened and took action,
You would see more profit,
More success.
And more fun in your lives and your practices.
We've talked about killing your ego,
having 5 seconds of courage,
Starting over.
motivating a superstar staff.
Telling the truth, being kind,
So don't be a passive listener.
take action now.
And that's what we've got for you this season, folks. It's been a wild ride, and I hope you've really enjoyed riding shotgun with us. If you have any questions or comments, send them my way. podcast@profitfirstforlawyers.com. I do read every email that comes through. And of course, if you haven't grabbed your copy of the book yet, what are you waiting for? Go get that right now. Head to profitfirstforlawyers.com or head to your favorite bookstore. And if you're looking for more great RJon content in the meantime, check out RJon's archives on the From the Vault podcast that's linked below in our show notes. I'm going to let RJon wrap up the season with a last thought. Take it away, RJon.
Be sure to stop and take a moment from time to time to let this all sink in, please, and quietly thank the person who you used to be, who had the courage to turn their back on conventional wisdom by taking the road less traveled.
Hey, psst, Raul.
God?
What? No, what? It's Karli.
Who? Oh, Karli, I didn't see you there.
I just wanted to know if you wanted to introduce the bloopers.
Of course. To everyone who's tuned into Profit First for Lawyers, here's the blooper reel.
Good to go?
This is where someone should have their hands on those bongo drums. No, you can't just add bongo drums if they're not actually. Yeah, you missed your cue. Anyway.
And I worked at a private country club. It wasn't for everyone. Not everyone could be, oh my gosh, there's a freaking fly. I'm sorry. It was like right in my face.
As if all that wasn't bad enough. Okay. As if all of that wasn't bad enough. Okay. As if all of that wasn't bad enough.
I liked the first one.
Why don't you try it?
Okay.
To the microphone.
As if all of that wasn't bad enough.
Now you give it a try.
As if all that wasn't bad enough.
Now say it with an accent.
As if all of that wasn't bad enough.
Now you say it with an accent.
Is that the Idaho?
No, that's definitely not Idaho.
As if all that wasn't bad enough.
It's going to get real bad.
That is the acronym, right? So he was on his CLE tour for the Bar Association credits, whatever. Let's not put that explanation in. He was in the CLE tour.
You know how hard it is to see the camera? Holy crap.
A little backstory here. I actually gave my high school valedictorian speech about the phrase, oh my gosh, you guys.
I do solemnly swear I will support the Constitution. By the way, I am holding my hand up. It's like force of habit. But I'm doing it anyway.
Okay. On the next episode, I'm Ali Leibovich. I'm the co-founder of How to Manage a Small Law Firm. And in the next episode of Profit First for Lawyers, I am going to explain how to take all your excuses and shut them up your ass.
Can you understand what I'm saying?
We could, but you'd have to enunciate like your life depends on it.
No problem. I can enunciate as though my life depended on it. No pun intended.
Okay.
Start over, you fucking piece of shit, and put some life in it.
I would
That's
never.
What you're supposed to say.
I would never. But one thing I do want to suggest, RJon, this one has.
Lal was looking at me like, oh my God, he's abusing his staff. I'm teaching you how to direct.
I would never say that to you. Not ever. But I was going to ask.
That's the problem. You need to be able to say that to people if you're going to get good performances out of them. You think Lalo's nice and kind and quiet? When the musicians are in here with the musicians, he's hitting them with drumsticks to get a performance. He's telling the truth. See, I know. Or do not.
There is no truck.
I mean, you're fully,
No, that.
done today.
No. Totally different.
No, I know.
This is sci-fi. That's science fantasy.
I forgot.
Completely different universe. Do not confuse them.
Okay.
That's his favorite button to push.
It's not my favorite button.
No, that's his favorite button to push. Good old Star Trek. And you're like, it's fucking Star Wars.
No, it's Star Trek. I'm wearing an Enterprise shirt.
You're doing a Yoda impression.
I'm...
Pick a lane, buddy.
Some of it was insane. For example, I was, 60 feet in the air, hanging on to balancing on a high wire in a harness, doing something that I guess some people enjoy. I wasn't one of them, but I still did it, and I still learned about myself and learned about just simple things like listening to instructions, and also I don't think I'm scared of heights, but I'm scared of maybe dying in a world-class resort.
We promised no hedge funds, that if you listened and took action, you would. Oh, you know what? I can't help it. I used to date someone who did hedge funds.
We promised no. Stop. I was going to say hedgehogs. Oh my God.
Brilliant. I don't know why this tickles me so much. Here we go. Wait.
So as we near the end of this first introductory chapter, because I know you don't know me very well, I'll just break this to you gently. Your accountant, bookkeeper, or CPA probably doesn't want you to read this book.
I like that. Can you
It's
give me
not-
a couple of options for that, though, so that we can pick the one that...
As we near the end of our first chapter together, and because I know you don't know me very well, I'll break this to you very gently and get Karli, my producer, to sing it to you. Hit it, Karli.
Your accountant, bookkeeper, or CPA?
That's not singing.
Oh, you really want me to sing that? Your
Aren't you
accountant,
allegedly a singer?
bookkeeper, and or CPA?
Wait. Now I got to do it again. So as we near the end of our first chapter together, and because I know you don't know me very well yet, I'm going to break this to you gently. And to do so, I've made arrangements for none other than Karli Royer, our executive producer of this recording, to sing it to you. Hit it, Karli.
Your accountant, bookkeeper, and or CPA, probably both. They probably don't want you to read this book.
Yabba dabba doo, da da da.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Profit First for Lawyers. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, tell a friend. And buy your copy of the book at profitfirstforlawyers.com.